Meeting to order for the the Oxnard City Council Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting for October 22nd, 2024. Time's 8:30. Madam Assistant City Clerk, is there anything you'd like to say?
Yes, thank you, Chair Perello. The public may view the meeting from home on Spectrum Channel 10, Frontier Channel 35, or at youtube.com/Oxnard News. Video recordings of the meetings are typically available online following the meeting at the city's website. The public may participate in the meeting in the following ways. 1. Attend the meeting in person at 305 West 3rd Street and submit a speaker card to the city clerk. 2. Submit a request to speak remotely by no later than 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting by using the form available at www.oxnard.org/citymeetings. And 3. Submit an email to city clerk at oxnard.org or contact the city clerk's office at 805-385-7803 no later than 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting. To provide public comment during the meeting, please dial 888-475-4499 and enter the meeting ID and passcode located on the agenda. Public comments will be taken following the announcement of the item. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we have the roll, the posting of the agenda, and the flag salute?
Member Valenzuela.
Present.
Member Zaragoza.
Here.
Chair Perello.
Here.
We have a quorum, and the agenda for this meeting was posted in the City Hall Bulletin Board on October 15, 2024.
Thank you. Councilmember Valenzuela, lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Everyone please stand, right hand over your heart, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda are public comments not on the agenda, and we have one speaker, I believe, Mr. Keith Flanagan.
Chair Perello, Keith is currently not available virtually or in person.
Okay, before the meeting ends, we'll see you, give him one more chance. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. The City Clerk Department, the approval of the minutes. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee approve the minutes for October 8th, 2024, regular meeting as presented. Are there any public comments on this item?
Chair Perello, we have no public speakers on this item.
Thank you. Any concerns, comments, or questions by the committee?
None for me.
Move for approval.
Second.
Please call for the roll.
Member Valenzuela.
Aye.
Member Zaragoza.
Aye.
Chair Perello.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda under reports, report number 1, Public Works Department. Subject, annual purchase orders with Rockwell Engineering and Equipment Company for wastewater equipment and supplies. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend that the City Council approve and authorize the purchasing agent to execute annual purchase orders with Rockwell Engineering and Equipment Company, Rockwell, for a total amount not to exceed $600,000 through June 30th, 2026, for the purchase of wastewater pumps and related equipment for the wastewater division. Due to the voter-approved Measure M, there is a video on this, but there will not be a presentation on this item. Do we have any public comments on this, Madam Clerk?
Chair Perello, we have no public speakers on this item.
And I see Mr. Tim Beeman at the podium. Do we have any questions for
Yep,
Mr. Beeman?
the question I have, Tim, is this is a purchase order for equipment throughout the year plus? Is that what it is?
Tim Beeman, Assistant Director of Public Works. Tim Beeman, Assistant Director of Public Works, overseeing water and wastewater. Good evening, committee. Yes, this is for throughout the year, and so we do have 2 items on the agenda, one for portable pumps that we use for different occasions. If we do have in the collection system a break, and in the presentation we show a photo of where we use these bypass pumps, and then also the fats, oil, and grease receiving station. That will be used primarily at the treatment, well, only at the treatment plant.
And the fats, that one is for fats, oils, and grease, right?
That's correct, and so
That's actually separated, and I understand it creates a methane too.
yes, sir. So what we do is we have 3 digesters at the plant, and currently with the reliability project, we're rehabbing digester number 2. And so we send the fats, oil, and greases directly into there, and inside there's a biological component that they eat up the bits and they actually create methane gas, and then we send that through our cogeneration. So we're able to power about 1/3 of the plant ourselves.
Oh, really? That's very significant, because that's a big plant too. Any idea what the savings is, the savings with that 1/3?
So this is actually just a pilot program that we're doing. We do get several calls. So fats, oil, and greases are collected through any restaurant or industrial use that has the collection system as part of their sewer lateral. So there's quite a few companies that actually will go through and pump it out, and then they are looking for a place to dispose of it. And so we do get regular calls on this for all the restaurants that we have within the city. And so what this package plant does is we will be bringing it in, transferring it to our digesters, and then running the pilot to say, what's the additional benefits that we're getting from it and the cost associated with it. So this is going to set the basis of how we move forward if we do put in a permanent installation.
So, and 1 and 3 are the digesters, and 2 is the backup?
Well, so.
No? Am I reading that correctly?
Well, number 2 has been offline for some time.
Okay.
No one at the plant has been there long enough to know when it went offline, but
Oh,
we
my
estimate
goodness.
it right around 25 years. And so with that rehab, we have additional capital improvement coming forward. We're going to be taking down digester 1, rehabbing digester 1. 1 and 2 are the same size, and then finally we'll do 3, which is
To
the
get it
largest
going.
of them.
To get it going. Interesting, it's really quite, what do you call it, fog, I think?
Yes, sir.
I looked, it said fog, it says fat, oils, and grease. Good point, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
With respect to the fat, oil, and grease component, this is not experimental. This is something that is being done in other places?
That's correct. And I believe our nearest neighbor that takes fats, oil, and greases is Thousand Oaks.
Okay. And you mentioned there's 2 components. This is only one item for the $600,000. The 2 components are in this one item we're approving tonight to send to City Council.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
That's all the questions I have. By chance, has anybody called for a question, Madam Clerk?
Chair Perello, no.
Okay. Does Public Works want to add anything?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Need a motion to approve?
Yes. Recommendation of the council?
I second.
Okay.
Okay. Please call for the vote, Madam Clerk.
Member Zaragoza,
Yes.
Member Valenzuela,
Aye.
Chair Perello.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
Appreciate this, and thank you. Forward thinking to save the city the issues and to potentially help the companies that are pumping out the grease traps and everything else to make our system work better. Good idea. Thank you. Compliment to Public Works. Next item on the agenda, D2. It's a trade service agreement 325-00200 with Taft Electric Company on the on-call traffic signal repair and maintenance services, specifications number PW25-26. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee recommend the City Council approve and authorize an agreement with Taft Electric Company for an initial 1-year and 10-day term from November 20th, 2024 to November 30th, 2025, with the option for 4 consecutive 1-year period extensions for a final term ending November 30th, 2029, for a total amount not to exceed $500,000 for on-call traffic signal repairs and services. Again, voter-approved Measure M. There is a video presentation that will not be shown tonight, but there are opportunities for the public to ask questions and the committee to ask questions. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments on this item?
Chair Perello, we have no public speakers virtually or in person for this item.
My committee members, do you have any questions?
So it's 1 year and, why 10 days? 1 year and 10 days? Just to make up the difference, or?
have a
Yeah,
good
we want,
answer for
it's
that?
a little easier to track when it's at the end of the month. Otherwise, it would be in the middle of the month that we would be renewing these contracts, so it's a little easier for us to track.
So one of the things I know we talked about it before, it's on call and if you need them, they have to be there within 1 hour?
That's correct.
Well, have they done it? That's fascinating.
Yeah, well, first, good evening. I'm Morgan Kessler, the
Right.
city engineer in Public Works. I also have with me our interim traffic engineer, Kakeb Saeed. So I'll defer to Kakeb on this. I believe we've always had a response time of within an hour.
So
They do respond within an hour. They respond within an
I
hour.
can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Oh, sorry. They do respond within an hour.
So if something's down, they put a temp sign on it, is that correct, till they get there, or a temporary sign for whatever they knock down
So
or whatever's
typically
needed, or?
The call will be to our team, and as soon as we call them, they will show up. The call will not be directly to them because we are the city.
Oh, they're connected
responsible.
directly to, that's great.
Yeah.
So Michael, anything else on that?
Yeah, so a typical situation would be that there was a traffic collision at 2 AM. We have an on-call traffic engineering staff member that would take a phone call either from PD or dispatch. And if that person, our traffic staff member, wasn't able to address the issue, like maybe there was a down signal pole, they would contact Taft. In that scenario, our person would contact Taft. Then Taft would respond by coming out within an hour, and they may install a temporary pole or some other temporary traffic control system that would allow that intersection to continue functioning until we can get it completely fixed.
Like a temporary stop sign, and
Well, they won't do the stop signs. That will typically be done
That's
by
us.
our staff, but
that's us.
right, so if we needed to put up a temporary traffic signal pole, they would help us with that, or if maybe they needed to replace the signal head or put in a signal controller, they would do those kinds of work, but we would typically be the ones that would do the stop signs and stuff like that.
Because I say, there's those pictures, they're worth 1,000 words. The signs down and so forth, and where the automobiles hit the traffic lights and the poles and so forth, but
That's
Great.
correct. And a lot of times, just cleaning up of the intersection is a big deal for us because we don't have the equipment to do it.
to do so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Number one, thank you very much for your audio presentation and video. And I need to ask, because if I don't, how do you pronounce your first name?
Kokeb.
Okay. Oh, okay, thank you. Ms. Said, I appreciate your information and the help here.
Sure.
My understanding is we're with Taft. Taft has done a good job for the city for a long period of time, and I believe I'm correct in that. And this is something that's ongoing with the number of accidents that happen, various causes for people hitting stop signs and things like that. We need to have this done to take care of the rest of the people who live here and have to put up with the idiots that knock down the stop signs and the stop lights and cause serious problems. I don't have any questions. I appreciate the presentation. I appreciate the video. And Said and Mr. Tensler, thank you very much for the presentation. And Madam Clerk, there's still no one has called in on this?
Yes, that's correct, Chair Perillo.
Okay. The recommendation of the committee?
Move approval.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call for the vote.
Member Zaragoza,
Yes.
Member Valenzuela,
Aye.
Chair Perillo,
Yes.
motion passes 3-0.
Thank you very much. And thank you, staff. Thank you for the work
Thank you.
on this. Next item on the agenda, agenda item number D3, update on mobile car washing regulations and enforcement. The recommendation that the Public Works and Transportation Committee receive and file an update on mobile car washing regulations and enforcement. Again, due to the voters' passing of Measure M, there is a pre-recorded video, but there will not be that video presented at this meeting. There's an opportunity for people to ask questions, and my understanding is this will be Mr. Jeff Pengilly and Mr. Michael Wolf on this, and there was a video presentation. I appreciated it, and Mr. Beeman, thank you very much. Do we have any public comments on this, Madam Clerk?
Chair Perrella, we have no public speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Okay. Any questions, or before we take a question, is there anything that you want to add that you may not have gotten into your video?
Again, committee, my name is Tim Beeman, Assistant Director of Public Works. I think the thing I'd like to add is to say thank you to our counterparts at Community Development for helping us put this together. So with the presentation that was put together and this staff report, this is a group effort. So we have Source Control, which is under wastewater, that works with our MS4 permit that's described in the actual staff report. And then Jeff Pengeli here has his team with code compliance who helps enforce these rules as well.
It's an extremely detailed staff report. There's a lot of material in the staff report. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, quick question. You want to go ahead?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, the MS4, the municipal separated storm system, that's a mandated item, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And my understanding that there's two types of classifications, commercial and non-commercial. Can you kind of explain a little bit more of the commercial and non-commercial? Because there's a lot of individuals that have their own car washes that maybe they're commercial, or are they commercial or non-commercial?
So it's basically, so commercial is anything that would be a business. So if it's a business that's set up, so typically there's a van or some kind of other truck or something that, and a lot of them are labeled with the business name and number, and they are a mobile unit that will go around and wash cars in a particular area. Some of them move spot to spot. They'll actually go to people's homes. Now, the difference between that and the non-commercial is they're in it for a profit, whereas the non-commercial would be in a resident washing their car, in their driveway in front of their house, or also charity events, car wash events, things like that.
Yeah, and this is basically to make sure that that we don't discharge harmful pollutants as per your report here.
Yes, sir. That's
into
correct.
the system. I'll share some more, guys. I'll let you guys ask some more questions.
Yes, Assistant Director Beeman. So just curiosity, I think it said somewhere in the report that if we're able to wash our cars like on our lawn, that is considered non-exempt, correct?
Yes, in fact, we encourage any car washing to occur on a pervious surface, something that the water can actually go back into the ground.
And so if we hire someone to wash our car for us on our property, would that be considered exempt or non-exempt because it's if it's on a permeable surface?
That's Jeff.
I think that.
Go ahead.
Okay, that would be considered a commercial car wash, and they are difficult to regulate because they do have a hard time having to recapture the water that they spray onto the, like, say, driveway. Technically, even if they're washing on grass or a dirt road, even though it's going into the ground and it's not running off into the stormwater drain system necessarily, they still have to recapture that water and comply with all the other requirements of our code. Do you have any other further questions on that?
No, just curious. Thank you.
Can I ask? I've seen where some have a mat underneath their equipment to capture the water. If they put it in the mat, then how do they dump it into what? Jeff or
Well,
Tim?
I would argue that they have some sort of vacuum system that would put it, they would have a vacuum system that would put it back
okay.
into a container in the truck.
Yes, and what I've seen on Saviors Road in particular, they have a large mat that has a berm around it, and they collect that water and they pour it into a bucket.
Or then they vacuum it out?
They can vacuum it out.
Oh, okay, I haven't seen that part.
Yeah, so they call them BMPs, or best management practices. It's containment of the water and then not discharging that water into the storm drain system. So however they do that, whether it's a mat, whether it's a vacuum, the requirement is so that it doesn't get discharged into the storm drain system. And most of them will take them to a facility and discharge that water into a different facility that takes that kind of water.
Interesting.
But they'll collect it. They'll need to collect it, basically.
Okay,
Are there any collecting facilities in the city?
that's right.
Well, I'm not aware of one.
No, it is permissible through the actual sanitary sewer itself.
Oh,
So do they have the ability to go to our sewer plant and put it in the sewer?
It wouldn't be directly at the plant because it's such a small quantity in general. It's not something that would be directly put into the plant, but they can put it into the sewer system.
I'm kind of wrapping it. Are we getting any negative comments from other surrounding communities if people are washing cars here, collecting the water and taking it somewhere else? Are there other communities that we know or we don't know?
No, none to my knowledge, I should say.
Okay.
Through this process, we've been working directly with our source control, and none of those issues have been brought up. And
Okay.
usually if we do get a call from the public really regarding anything, it's brought up on a manager's level within the wastewater division to say this has come in, and just to make people aware.
And you have any more questions? No. I really appreciated the report, and I see where we are doing everything we can with the resources we have, the staff we have, and it's kind of a little bit of a cat and mouse, almost like the food, people that are making food on the sidewalks, on the carts and things. With respect to the resources that we have and all the jobs that code enforcement and public works are trying to police, do we have any recommendations of possibly improving this? And if we do, at what cost to the other jobs and responsibilities that we have? Maybe Mr. Pengelly can address that, or somebody, just to let the people know, because the public is asking, hey, you know, they're on Saturday and Sunday, they're packed over here, what the hell's going on? And what are you doing about it? And you tell them, we'll make a phone call, and I appreciate this being on the agenda.
Yes, thank you, Chair Perillo. Committee members, Jeff Pengelly, Director of Community Development. It's a challenging issue because, as you pointed out, there's a little bit of a game of whack-a-mole going on, and there's staff resource issues. What we found was that code compliance on their own is really challenged, especially with a large group of car wash vendors who gather in one location. There's a few spots on Saviors, may have noticed, and some other places in town.
Saviors Road is a good example.
They will gather together, and they realize that code compliance does not have the police authority to compel an identification, and therefore the citation process is terminated. We can try to cite the vehicle. It may not be the vehicle's registered owner who's there, washing cars perhaps without a mat to collect the runoff or without a business license. So we have, Oxnard Police Department has been very generous with the time and resources they have right now. A lot of those available resources, both by Code Compliance Fire Department and Oxnard PD, are tackling the food vendor issue. In fact, our on-staff senior inspector, for Code Compliance is on a food vendor operation tonight with PD and Fire. So it's a challenge. A lot of our resources are pressed in that direction. Technical services carries potentially the big stick in terms of stormwater quality fines. Code compliance has more familiarity, and it's their customary role to engage with folks violating the city code. Oxnard PD has the enforcement authority to actually tell people to move off of the private property and to compel identification. So it's a team effort that we haven't put all the pieces together yet. We've explored, we are exploring kind of a task force concept similar to what's being done with food vendors, and I don't want to promise that. We're just exploring it, and there's resource issues to work out. But that would likely be the best solution moving forward, a team effort led by one department or a partnership in departments, backup by Oxnard PD, coordinated efforts targeting specific days and locations where we know there's the heaviest concentration.
And I'm only speaking for myself, but I feel that I'm carrying the weight of, in the beliefs of the rest of the members of the council. There is individuals in the business that are trying to make a living, and I appreciate that. And the ones that are following the rules, I appreciate that. It's the ones that are not are causing problems for not just the residents that are in business appropriately, but the rest of the city, and the potential that you have and the situation that you have. And I even one spot I saw where you have the opportunity when there's, as you mentioned, in certain locations, a lot of car washes and one code enforcement guy goes out. It's a little bit like he's outnumbered, and do you need some backup? I appreciate the situation that you're in. And I know that it's not a matter of snapping your fingers and we got 55 more code enforcement guys and we have rules and we have the resources to do this. You're working in very tight confines with what you have at your disposal. I appreciate what you're doing. I hope that when this does go, I feel confident this is going to go to the city council and be approved here, and we'll probably have some more questions asked. This does impact certain districts of Oxnard more than others, and it impacts certain areas specifically on certain days of the week. And a lot of times, the same people that raise Cain and call and everything else, they run out of gas and they'll call and raise Cain to a council member, but they don't follow up. There will be checking of records and people haven't called. And the best I can do is tell them to call. You're doing the best that you can. It's not that you're ignoring it. You have 7 different things and you got one person and you have to prioritize. And it's asked, as I had asked earlier, if we put a higher priority on this, what do we drop off underneath to put that underneath this priority? This is an issue that potentially could cost the city money, but there's other issues extremely important that you guys are dealing with. No slam on Public Works or Development Services, Public Works Director.
I just want to make something clear right now. The way the staff report is written for tonight, it's written as a receive and file for the committee. The request from the committee member was to bring it to the committee. And so if the committee wants it to go to council, they'd have to make that separate recommendation for it to go to council. But right now, it's agendized and scheduled just to be received and filed here at the committee.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. That's on me. I should have seen that. I should have mentioned that. I personally, my fellow committee members, think that the rest of the 4 other council members should get an opportunity to hear this and weigh in on this matter. Because we, as the elected representatives for the city of Oxnard, we get calls for constituents and they want certain things done, but they need to understand, and too many of them, some of the loudest squeaky wheels in the city of Oxnard don't seem to pay attention to what the ramifications are with limited resources and manpower that we have. And I think it'd be better if the entire council got a chance to hear this.
I agree that we ought to send it to the entire city council. Mr. Chair, can I ask Jeff one quick question? Jeff, for example, there's a section in South Oxnard that has a lot of people washing cars on private property. And I think you mentioned something that code compliance cannot do anything because it's on private property, but the police can actually cite them. Is that correct? Or move them out? And that's what you're trying to work on?
Two things, but correct in either case, where if code compliance approaches a car wash vendor and asks for identification and asks for their city business license, et cetera, and I don't want to give away the answer to the test, but if they choose not to answer that and provide it, it presents a challenge to code compliance officers. Police officers have a different authority, and they can, in certain situations, compel an ID and or compel somebody to move off of private property. We've worked with the property owners as well, especially some of these multi-tenant strip malls and other adjoining properties that form a large shopping area with large parking lots that are attractive to these vendors. In obtaining an agent authorization for Oxnard Police Department to enforce trespass rules, and some of them have followed through and posted the necessary signage. It's at this point just a resource issue with.
You said the proper signage.
Yeah, there's signage that needs to be posted on site and an agent authorization provided to Oxnard PD. But again, that doesn't solve the prioritization and resource issues that still are there.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it's something we can work on.
Yeah, so we're taking steps and trying to set it up so it's more effective as we approach this from different angles.
Because some of those, I understand from some of the property owners, Michael, that they get very abusive, those individuals when they tell them to move off,
The other shop owners who are having trouble for finding parking for themselves and their customers, there's been reports of some less than polite behavior.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Put politely. Any more questions? Are there any comments?
Chair Perello, there's no public speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Okay, with that, I'd like to make a motion that this is sent forward to the city council, the full city council, to hear this item. And city attorney, am I stating it correctly? Or if you want me to state it a different way, please do it.
That will suffice, just a motion to amend the recommendation, and then
Second.
take it from there.
Thank you. Roll call, please, on the vote.
Member Valenzuela?
Aye.
Member Zaragoza?
Aye.
Chair Perello?
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0.
I want to thank the staff and all the work that went into this.
Thank you.
Before we come to the last item on the agenda, which would be anything for future agenda items.
I don't.
Do you have anything? Okay, then one last time for Mr. Keith Flanagan. Is he available to public comment?
Chaparral, no, he's still currently not available.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you for everybody here, and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Jeff and Michael.
Thanks.